Alright, so we have these two functions, the open inventory widget and close inventory widget. And all they do right now is opening and closing the inventory, but I do want them to be a bit more generic so that they can open and close any type of inventory that we add later, not just the main inventory. Right now it's using the inventory widget class and only opening that and saving it, so I want to change that. So let's get to work. Now, in order to open any inventory that we want, we do want to know what inventory we're trying to open. So I'm going to add a const f gameplay tag container ID here. So actually let's change that here. So let's do a const f gameplay tag, and let's do this container, and I'm going to rename this. Right now it's called open inventory widget. Let's make it a bit more generic, so just open widget. And same for this one too, actually. Let's just do close widget. And actually this one too, let's give it the, so it knows which inventory we are trying to close. Container ID. Alright, so that's that. Now we just need to change this here and these two. Now they require me to pass in the container ID. Okay, so let's take care of that. So toggle inventory widget, I'm gonna change that to toggle widget and then add a const f gameplay tag container ID instead. And then we can pass in the container ID. And let's go and change that here. Again, container ID. Great. Next, do a check here, just do active. Well, this is called inventory widget also. I should probably rename that too. So let's go back here. Let's go active inventory widget. So I'm just gonna rename it to active widget. And actually, I'm going to change the type here. Let me change this to a tmap instead. And it's gonna store f gameplay tag, so the container ID and the object pointer user widget, active widget. Alright, that way we can have many widgets open and we'll store all of them here in the map. Good. So let's change that here. It's now called active widget. Oh, and this one, find container ID. Alright, so we call toggle widget. We give it the container ID that we want to open or close. Then we check the active widgets if we do have one with the same ID. If we do have one, then we can close it. If we don't have one, we can open it. Simple. And here, let's just, okay, let's delete this. I'm going to check for the active contains the container ID. So if the active widget already contains this container, meaning that this widget is already open, then we can just return. We don't have to open it again. It's already open. Alright, now I'm going to check for make sure I have access to my inventory component. Inventory component, make sure that this is valid because I'm gonna need that. Because I need to know the class of the widget that I'm trying to open. Right now I'm just passing in the inventory widget class, which I don't want to do anymore because I want this to be a bit more generic. So let's go and we can actually just delete this line even. You know what? We could actually just delete all of this. Let's just delete all of that. Do I need the player controller? Yes, I think I do. What I need is which class am I trying to open. So what I need is to know the class of the widget that I'm trying to open. Right now we have the player inventory widget. Well, we only have that so far, but later we'll have more. So the way to get this, I'm going to get it from the config here. Every container has a config, and I'll just do a property and the subclass of I forgot, actually can't do that. I don't want to. You know what, we need to make a base class because as for all of these widgets, yeah, that would make it a lot easier. So let me just add a new class here. Going to be user widget. I'm going to call it a widget base. Let's do that. In the widget base, so let's go to my player inventory. So I have init inventory widget here. I need a similar function here in the parent class. So I'm gonna do a virtual void init widget. So we'll take in the inventory manager, and let's do forward declare. What else we need? We'll need the gameplay tag. Let's do an in container ID. We'll need the in max slot and an in 32. Oh wait, what did I do here? 32 in max slots, and we'll need the 32 in columns for when we build this widget. Alright, great. Let me protected section 2. And what did we have here? We have the manager and the grid widget. Okay, so what I'm gonna need in the base class is probably just a view property. Make this transient. Object pointer. Let's do this. UI manager. Another U property can be transient. Container ID. U property max slot, and a U property for columns. And we need the include here. Great, so that's going to be my base class. And now let's do this. And all I really want to do here is just the in inventory equals this, the container ID equals this, max slot and columns. And this one is complaining, it's the include. Great. Is also, oh, what did I do? In inventory, There we go. Better now. Alright, so that's the base class, and now we can change this to use the base class instead. So let's change this UIT widget base, and don't forget to include it here. Can remove this. I won't need this anymore. I have it in the base class already. Actually need to change this to the function that I created this, so virtual void initialize widget. Yep, that seems correct. And now what I want to do here is the same thing that I was doing here, except that I don't need to set this because this is being set in the base class. So, and I'm calling super, so that's it. It should get set. Good. So we are done here. I can close this now. And now back to the config here. Now in my config, I can do a subclass of the widget base, and just I'll forward declare it widget class. Nice. Now I'll close this. Now from here, to get access to the widget class, I need to get access to the container config. And we have to make a function for this. So I'm actually going to go to the inventory component, and just right here where all my getters are, I'm going to add another one. Let's do const if container config get container config. Yeah. Yep. And now here, all we have to do is just a for loop. Const need to loop over all the configs and then check and return the config that has the same ID. Otherwise, you just return null pointer. Great. Can close this. Now back to here. I'm gonna do a const if container config configuration inventory component get container config needs the container ID. Great. Let's make sure that we do have a valid config, and that config does have a widget class. Great. And this is getting the player controller. That's fine, I will need that. So now we can do widget base. I'm just going to call it new widget. Let's do create widget base widget. Oh wait, no, that's wrong. It's base widget and the player controller and the config and the widget class. Great. Let's make sure that it's valid. If it's valid, we'll do new widget. Need to initialize it, so initialize widget. It needs the manager, which we are in, so I'll just pass this. Needs a container ID, the max slot we can get from the config, max slot, and the column. I did not include that. I need the column also, so I'm just gonna go to my config, and here I'm gonna add a new U property and do an in32 column equals 1 by default. Alright, Okay, so let's do columns. Right now we can add a new widget. Let's do add to viewport on the screen, and finally we'll do active widget that add a widget. There we go. So we call open, we pass in the container ID, the ID of the container we want to open. We check if it's already open. If it is already open, we just return. We don't need to do anything. Make sure that the inventory component is valid so that we can get the config from it. Now that we have the config, we can get access to the widget class that corresponds to this container. Then we create the widget, the actual widget. We initialize it, add it to the screen, and add it to the active widget because now it's open, so we can keep track of it, and we update the input so that we can see the mouse and everything. Great. So now let's work on close widget. So actually I'm just going to delete all of that. And let's do if just do found widget equals active widget find container ID. Oh yeah, this needs the const f gameplay tag container. Yeah, that was missing here. Okay. Auto, let's do found widget and do active widget that find. So we are trying to close this widget, so we just make sure that we do indeed have an open widget with this container tag, and then if we do, we'll do found widget not remove from viewport but remove from parent. Alright, so that should remove it, and I would also do remove from the list and update the input mode. Otherwise we're not doing anything. Try to close it, we try to close the container, it check first, so we go here, we check if we do indeed have one that is active. If not, then it's just gonna skip all of this and not do anything. Otherwise we'll get the actual widget, remove it from the screen and remove it from the list of active widget and change the input mode. Great, that should work. Is there anything to change here? I don't think we need that anymore. Probably delete this. Let's compile and test this, I guess. Okay, now in the editor, I'm going to go to my third person, find the player controller. Alright, so this does not exist anymore. It's just toggle widget, and it needs a container ID. So we have the player inventory here, so just do this, do the player inventory. Great. This needs a widget class also, so the WBP player inventory. We change this also to 10, so we'll do 10 by 10. And what else do I need to change? I think that's it. That should normally work, right? Okay, let's go and test it. Yep, still works. Nice. So now it's a little bit more generic, which will make it a lot easier for us later when we add more types of inventory like this. Okay, cool. I'll stop here and we'll continue in the next one. Alright, like, comment, subscribe, blah blah blah, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.